Hi, and welcome to Across the Desk. Well, this week we're going to talk about those wonderful conservative values as they go after a 17-year-old kid with disabilities who got up and cried, shouting, "That's my dad," in a moment of pride, and the right just couldn't take it. So we get away from state of Oklahoma issues, go to more national as the Democratic National Convention has wrapped up, and it's all about those crappy conservative values. So this week happened, and here you go. We had the Democratic National Convention, 3 or 4 days of delegates putting in people, getting our presidential candidates set up and our vice presidential candidates set up, and wouldn't you know it, a moment happened. And what happened was Tim Walz got up there, started talking about how much his family was his world, and then a rush of emotion from a 17-year-old kid who has disabilities got up and started crying in a fit of pride for his father. Well, you know, this one, I can understand it, okay? This is a great moment. Wow, is this not just a soundbite, perfect moment to tell you what Democrats are all about and how much they are for family and how much family means to them. And then what happens? Conservatives get weird. That's what happened. And so they go out and they start trying to pummel a kid who has disabilities. This is what they do. So you have, I mean, we've seen it with the Ann Coulter. We saw that. She puts out a tweet going, "Oh, this is weird. What a weirdo." Well, hey, the kid's got disabilities. Of course, she claims she didn't know that. Maybe she didn't. And then she comes out and deleted the tweet and then puts out an apology, non-apology, talking about, well, the left does it too kind of stuff. I'm sorry I did it, but, they do it too, which really is really not an apology. Really, it's just kind of a lame tuck, tail, and retreat. What I like to call it is a deflection. So that's kind of what happened, and then she gets roasted for it, as she probably should be, and everybody else. But that's not it. So it's kind of a mixed bag here, because some of the conservatives see this and go, "Oh my gosh, this is horrible." Like, Matt Walsh, don't like that guy, or Ben Shapiro, but they came out and said, "Hey, conservatives, this isn't a good look. This is rallying Democrats." Sure did. Oh my gosh, you're going after the 17-year-old kid who is proud of his father, and you're going to go after that? Even Ben Shapiro was like, "Hey man, this is strategically stupid. You guys need to stop it. This is how you lose." And this is exactly what they said. "Hey man, this guy's proud of his dad. This shows great family values, and we're going to be against that? This is dumb strategy." But conservatives can't help themselves, because really, when it comes down to it, these are their values. These are conservative values that say, hey, your 17-year-old kid that has a disability cried because he's proud of Papa? Well, we're going to come after you for that. That's their values. These are their values. They absolutely are. So we have this thing with Ann Coulter, and it doesn't stop there. Even the DeSouza guy, who is the 2,000 Mules guy, who got busted being a fraud, and now they've been sued. His publisher had to take down everything, retract all kinds of stuff. So he comes out and he starts talking about this 17-year-old kid, even after the fact that they knew that he has a disability. He starts going off, "Well, we know his son's retarded. Is that why Mr. Walz is too, the governor?" And it was like, just came off really horrible. And then what happens is Mark Cuban gets out there and attacks him for it. So here you go. All they're doing, they're just giving so much ammunition to Democrats right now. It's not even funny. They are on their heels. And I get it, right? This is a feel-good, touchy moment that plays well with the electorate. So Republicans, conservatives, they got to do something. The best thing to do would be like, yeah, these are family values. They could have come out and said something totally different. These are the family values we wish liberals would show more often. They could have done something like that. But they didn't. That's not what they did. They attacked a 17-year-old kid. And in a fit of likes to dish it, too cowardly to take it, here they are going after a kid when they all love to say, "Hey man, kids are off limits. We're about protecting children. Our kids are off limits. You shouldn't be doing this. Which brings me up to another point. There's a guy, he's a podcast guy. He's an iHeartRadio. He has an iHeartRadio show like I do. I've got an iHeartRadio show I do with Sean Cummings, the Will Rogers Experiment, and he got kicked off of it. He got kicked off for the tweet that he put out, and he doubled down, because really what he did was he doubled down. Started calling Governor Walz's son a beta male crying. Give that kid a tampon kind of stuff. That's exactly what he said about this kid that he knew has a disability. Well, what happened was the radio station dumped him. They dropped him. He lost his job. Hey, go broke or whatever. Well, how's that work for you here? Because that's what kind of happened, right? So he gives out this really horrible tweet. I just oh my gosh, people complain. He gets canned for it. So he puts out a tweet, puts out a big time apology tweet. Oh my gosh, did I mess up? I messed up. And he's like, even says, hey, one of my rules, because this guy was a teacher. This guy was a teacher. And said, hey, my rule is we don't go after kids. And that's exactly what he did. And he said, I feel horrible about it. I shouldn't have done it. This goes against my values. Well, no, not really. Because these are conservative values. As we can see over and over again. It's not just a few people here. It's not just a blogger. It's not just a guy who writes a crappy movie or Ann Coulter. It's a whole bunch of them. And there's not it. That's not the only ones. Several. You can see it online. People defending, going after a 17-year-old kid for crying with pride of his father. And it shouldn't have to be that, hey, he's got disabilities and crying for his father. It shouldn't be that at all. It should be any kid. Even if they didn't have a disability, should be proud of their dad. They should. So you see it. And it's not just the leaders in the MAGA world, which makes it worse, right? I mean, mostly you have leadership, Republican leadership that are going after a 17-year-old kid with disabilities. That's bad enough. And then all your followers, all your MAGA followers pile on, and they are, one after the other, piling it on, even after they know Tim Walz's son has disabilities. He's nonverbal and is prone to just give out emotions like he did. And there's nothing wrong with this. There should be nothing wrong with men crying out of pride. This is so hits me because, one, we had the Kyle guy, the guy who shot a few people with his AR and then was in court crying about it. And they were like, you shouldn't go after him crying about this, And that's kind of like a weird thing that he was doing this in court. It was kind of like crocodile tears, really. But still, this is kind of a likes to dish it. Hey, look at Tim Walz's wussy son, too cowardly to take it. Don't you dare go after Kyle Rittenhouse. Don't you dare for crying in court. So this is what we got. We have a whole set of these crappy conservative values where they go after a kid who's proud of his father, saying, that's my dad, I love you, Dad. And this just drives conservatives nuts. It drives them nuts. And you can see it does. And of course, okay, hey, this is a feel-good moment. This plays well for Democrats. Probably going to be driving them up a few points. So what do conservatives do? Well, in the lack of strategic ability, they go after that kid, and what do they end up doing? They galvanize the Democrats. They galvanize liberals. They actually pull them together. That's what this has the effect of doing, is it brought them together. You want to pull a bunch of people together, you want to see them get on the same team real quick? Well, they just did it. And like I was saying earlier, people like Walsh and Shapiro were like, hey, you're doing nothing but unifying the Democrats. This is a loser for Trump and Republicans. That's all you're doing here, is you're uniting Democrats by attacking this kid. But they can't help it. Because these are their values. These are real conservative values, where they go after a nonverbal disabled kid like this. They do it, and they do it, and they do it over again. This isn't anything really new that we haven't seen them do. It's not. It just really isn't. As they go tweet after tweet, comment after comment, going after this kid, calling him a wimp, calling him a beta male, saying, give that kid a tampon. This is the kind of stuff conservatives are saying. These are their values. Am I right here? I mean, we are talking about conservative values when it comes to doing stuff like this. They can't really get away from it, no matter how much they want to claim that they're not like this. Oh, this isn't me at all. I'm better than this. No, you're obviously not. You obviously would like to think you are. And maybe that's a good start. Let's think we are. Maybe having some kind of plan in place to not disparage a kid with disabilities is a good thing. Hey, it's a step in the right direction. You got your direction. There's like a map, right? Set my course. That's good. Now, if they could just follow it, that's the problem, right? Because, see, conservative values is petty. Conservative values is cruel. Conservative values doesn't care what you think. Conservative values only cares what they think. And that's where we're at with this. Like, they're justified. And they do. They come out and then they start justifying it. They start justifying being the way they are, digging that hole even deeper. This is conservatism today. I don't know how much better to say it. This is it. And boy, what a way to end the Democratic National Convention by doing that. Don't you think? I mean, they ended it great. So this works great. Everybody's going to want to look this up. Everybody's looking at this now. They're not talking about Donald Trump. They're talking about Tim Walz and his son and the family values of liberals and Democrats. This is what they are. This is what they're seeing right now. This has got to be a boon in the polls for Democrats. I can't see how it couldn't be. And it's got Republicans, conservatives, on their heels. You can see it. This is not good for them. They are weak on this issue because of the way they went after his kid. So disgusting. These values that they want to say are so great. Look, we got conservative values. And so now this is what I do, and I hope everybody does. Whenever a Republican wants to tout those wonderful conservative values, please hit them hard. And hit them where it's going to hurt. Let them know that their values suck. Let them know, yeah, your values, these wonderful conservative values are so great that you're going to go after a kid with a disability because he's crying in pride for his father. These aren't tears of sadness or defeat. These are tears of pride. I mean, the kid was overwhelmed with emotion like most people were, and it pulled on everybody's heartstrings. And conservatives just didn't know what to do with it. Well, this is Across the Desk for this week. And as always, we're going to be back next week. We hope to see you then.